What's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We are sitting down with Joe Killinger and Mr. George Pino. They are the owners of Commercial Brokers International. It's a company that's you guys put this together 16 years ago. However, you've been in the business for 32 years, right? I mean, you're talking thousands of transactions all over the United States. You've done business in 32 states. Mainly, you focus on the LA and SoCal area, and it's commercial stuff, right? And you guys are just blowing it out of the water. I mean, we're talking right now about some of the high profile accounts, and you're talking about the Boring Company being the broker on record for that kind of stuff, and bringing that type of business in. I can't wait to dive into your guys' expertise in terms of commercial real estate, building the business, and I'm really curious also to find out how you guys have been able to make a partnership work since 1993. I mean, that's a big ticket question right there. So welcome to the show. Very glad to have you guys here. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you, Thanks for having us, Rafael.
Absolutely. Yeah, so give me a little bit of background. I mean, you guys go way back to 1993. That's where you guys when you guys partnered up and decided to start working together. From that point forward, I mean, give us the rundown of how you get to a space like this, where you're representing Elon Musk and the Boring Company and names like that.
Okay, it was a long process, but I'm going to let George tell it because he talks a lot better than I'm more than I do. He's in sales, man. I'm in the marketing side, but the first start, it all got started because he actually laid me off from my position, a company we were both at. Yeah. So he laid me off, and I've been making him pay ever since.
Wow. Exactly. So George, you laid off Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, well, that being said, I was laid off shortly thereafter. But I mean, this kind of goes to the mentality of I think with an entrepreneur that you're talking about. In that, we both worked at a company. We were doing real estate auctions at the time. They were going public, and they had some issues with some growth issues and some growth pains. And when I started with them, they were probably about 20 people, and they grew to a company of about 300 with locations in Paris, London, Tokyo, Dallas, Houston, New York, Boston, San Francisco. Wow. And, so when I started with them, it was right out of college, and, I was lucky to be young and dumb and getting in really start at early start, but be able to grow with the company very quickly. And, when they had some growing pains and issues they ended up taking out a lot of the middle management, upper middle management to cut costs, but they also brought in, because they went public, they brought in a whole new executive team as well. Mm-hmm. And so they had those additional costs. And so they started laying off a lot of the people that actually started up with the company. Joe ended up getting transferred into my department. And at the time I was running it, and I was told essentially lay him off, and it was laid him off right the beginning of the year, probably in January.
Lateral damage of growth, right?
This would have been this would have been in 1993, right? And I was laid off shortly thereafter in March or April of 93. And this is the first lesson in entrepreneurship, I think, because the first thing, I was in desperate need for a job. I was getting married. We were paying for the wedding ourselves. We had kids, and, I had all these expenses. So it's not like I could just sit down and wait for a good job. My first call was to a competitor. They offered me a job right away, but I'd have to relocate down to Orange County, 45 miles away. And I'd have to, pack up the family and move them down. My wife had a job as well. So, I sat there and I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut my job search short. Joe's been out looking for a job because I just laid him off. I'm going to call him and see who's hiring. So, the first lesson in entrepreneurship, don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to ask. And
number one lesson in sales too. I mean, it goes to show, right?
Absolutely. I mean, because obviously Joe and I knew each other a little bit beforehand. We didn't know each other that well, but we knew a little bit beforehand from working together. And, we both realized, though, that this was nothing personal. And, leave your personal feelings behind. This is business. And, so I reached out and I was like, hey, I just got laid off. He already actually knew because that, the secretarial pool there, they talked like you wouldn't believe. And I think the company should have had a underwritten like as the gavel falls, because it was almost a soap opera.
Yeah.
So we did that through real estate auctions. And he mentioned that, what, I'm working with a gentleman here who is starting up a new real estate auction company. And, if you're interested, let's sit down and talk. We came to decision, let's do this together. Through a lot of hard work and just, nose to the grindstone, almost literally, within a year and a half, we became the #2 real estate auction company on the West Coast.
Wow.
Taking a lot of those other clients away, because what we're trying to do was identify markets and things that they were doing that we thought was inefficient, and how we could bring efficiencies to the clients, and then therefore cut their costs and expenses and outperform them. In fact, we realized that we were actually starting to hurt and do well when Joe went back to one of the biggest clients at the time that we had. This company had over 10,000 houses just in Southern California that they were eventually going to sell off. They had been buying them from a lot of the savings and loans and banks that had failed during the early 90s. And Joe went out, and they were there. And at the time they cut a deal saying, we're going to do 2 auctions, 200 properties each. We're going to give 200 properties to you. We're going to give 200 properties to our competitor. Whoever does better gets all our business.
It's the rest, the other 600.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Joe's ecstatic. He's, he calls me up, and, and this is back in the day when cell phones were $1 a minute, or whether, he calls me up and he's all excited and talking to me. And it was great for about 3 hours, which is about the time of the flight from Dallas out to California. Lands in California, and lo and behold, there's a message saying, your competitor offered to do your half for free. So we're going to give it to them.
Oof.
So it started up, that's pretty devastating.
Yeah.
But Rafael, to get the company where we're at, I think we're moving pretty fast on it here. But there was no internet. There was no internet back then. So if you've probably never had to do this and then go look at a microfiche to find all the property information. We would show up at the office at 7:30 in the morning. We would cold call until 3, starting in New York, work our way to Hawaii, and just following the time zones, right?
Yeah.
And then after 3, we would type out and then or print out and then do a letter to everybody that we spoke to that day. And we personalized it, folded it, stamped it, put it in the mail every day.
Wow.
Yep.
That's not tenacity and grit. I don't know what is, man.
12 to 14 hours a day.
Every day. Or being 28 years old, not knowing any better is what I chalk it up to.
Well,
and we had no job. I mean, this was strictly commission, so we had to make it work.
Yeah.
So you learn.
Yep.
We're so spoiled right now. Now we're just so spoiled.
I know. I sit back now and you look at how's the Instagram polling day. Not too well. I got to do something else. How's LinkedIn?
I only got a couple hundred likes.
Yeah.
I gotta click how many times on this text message so I can send it.
Yeah, it's a different world.
No, back then it was, it was rare to have a computer. Nobody had CRMs. Everything was like on microfiche or data books.
Right.
You had to research and look. Books literally came out once a month. So you'd have to go through the sales stuff and analytics that way. It was not as efficient, but the fact of the matter was, if you're going to get it done, you're going to get it done. Just do what need. I think a true entrepreneur, and I'm paraphrasing Joe from the other day when we were talking about this to somebody, is someone who's going to look at a wall and not look at it as an obstacle, but look at it as, how am I going to get over it, around it, or through it?
Right.
And what's it going to take? And, because you're always going to run into those obstacles. You're always going to run into a wall in any kind of business that you do. It's how you react to it and do it that's going to define whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or if you're just going to sit back and let the course that is put in front of you define you.
It's you're touching on a very important point. I think obstacles versus challenges, right? Challenges have a connotation of success at the end of them. Obstacles don't. Obstacles, when you start thinking obstacles, it's something bad. It's something that's going to stop you. It's something that, it's not necessarily, it's an obstacle, right? It's just there, it's stoppage. That's what it is. However, if you have the same thing and then you just pivot a little bit and switch the context of it and look at it as a challenge, it's something that, I'm going to feel great when I just conquer the heck out of this thing, right? Because it's
mindset. It's all about mindset.
The key.
100%.
It's so easy to go into this rabbit hole of poor me, right? This isn't this is too hard. It's just, I can't do this. I mean, that's not the attitude you need to have. You need to have an attitude of, okay, I need to get this done. What's the most efficient way I can get it done? And, what tools do I need to make it happen?
Right. And you, so you guys started doing all this. I'm assuming, I mean, you became the top, you went to the top number two. Yeah. Well, it's at the top, right?
Yeah, well, it's close enough.
It's pretty up there. It's pretty up there.
Yeah.
All right. So you became number 2 within a matter of what you said, 2 years, a couple of years. Is that when it happened?
About 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you're really just, it's blunt force, really what's happening, right? It's all this. Was it just you guys, or did you guys start to bring people in?
There were other team members that were on there. I mean, we had a whole marketing department that were helping us. We also had other sales agents that would come in, but generally speaking, I think we're really creating about 95% of the business for that company.
And we also knew that we were in an industry that wasn't going to last forever.
Yeah.
Typical real estate auctions, everything's online now, right? Back then, you either did it at the property or you rented out a hotel room or large ballroom and you held it there and you'd auction off a few hundred properties a day. But we knew this couldn't keep up. These were all foreclosures or mostly foreclosures or developer deals they just wanted to get out of. And so we're like, okay, we need to start looking down the road. This is great now, but this is going to end, and we know that. So what's next? And so we always had that in the back of our mind. So there was our motivation.
Yeah.
What's coming?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I mean, in this case, for this company, actually, this decision to stop wasn't necessarily our decision to be made. The owner of the company that we helped build, he ended up selling his company to Coldwell Banker because it was tied in and affiliated with the large residential platform. And, NRT came in that owned Coldwell Banker, and they closed down. They said, you know what, we don't want to do auctions. So they closed that down. And what ended up, so from there, we were then introduced to a gentleman that was essentially the heir apparent in Los Angeles for residential real estate. He had, I think, 9 offices with about 680 agents or so. And he wanted to start a commercial real estate division because his agents kept getting in trouble. And they approached us saying, he was told that, if you want someone to start a company for you, these are the 2 guys to do it. He and Fred were on the same board. He actually became a great mentor of ours. And that's Alan Long. And, when we started that commercial real estate division, I still remember to this day that, in 2005, December 9th, 2005, he ended up selling to Sotheby's. So, and we had just started to really recruit and bring in people and get the commercial, ball rolling for DBL Realtors. And, on December 5th, December 9th, 2005, Joe got a call. We were up skiing with some agents and that we had recruited. We were up in Mammoth and we got a call saying we're shutting down on December 31st. We sold to Sotheby's. Sotheby's isn't licensed to do commercial real estate because NRT licenses the name from Sotheby's auction house. And I'm like, okay, great. And, by then, Joe and I had already started investing in real estate, started buying properties, flipping them, as well as buying long-term holds as well, different aspects of the portfolio. And from there, we were okay with that. We're just going to do real estate investing and concentrate on that. And then at that time, we broke for lunch and said, well, what's going to happen with all the agents that we recruited, brought on board, and were training? And, so we started making some calls, trying to find houses that they could go to, other competitors. But then, a handful of them came up to us and said, Joe, you have your broker's license. If you start your company, we'll come with you. And that's the genesis of Commercial Brokers International. We felt it wasn't necessarily the first thing on our mind to do, but, number one, we felt that it was the right thing to do. But also we felt that we could, if we're going to do this, then we're going to design a company that is going to be a company that we would want to be as agents, but also one that's going to be kind of at the forefront of things and really pushing forward. So, we took a completely different approach from the most commercial brokerage models. And I got to tell you, for the first 4 or 5 years, it was tough. Just because people didn't understand what we're trying to do. In commercial brokerage, they have very much siloed, either through asset class or through what your job role is in a commercial brokerage company. But, we had a completely different aspect to it. And we also had a different take. A lot of companies, we felt that the value of any company is not the name. It's not, it boils down to the people.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to invest in the people, in the people that we had. And, for instance, Alan Wong, who I mentioned before, who was a mentor of ours, one of the great things that he did that, that really taught us that, there's 2 ways for a company to look at real estate agents. One is a profit center in the sense of how can I nickel and dime them to death and get the most out of them to make money as the owner, or how can I lift them up so that they do more business and therefore I do more business? 2 different thought processes, but generally speaking, most companies go with the former because it's a lot easier to do. It's a lot, and it's a model that everyone kind of expects. So, Alan, for instance, back in 2000, if you went into a residential real estate office and, computers were just starting to get popular back then, they had a computer room. You had 80 agents in one office with 6 computers that they shared.
Mm-hmm.
Alan looked at it and computers were $3,000 just for the basic, desktops. And so a pretty good expense. Alan looked at it as, you know what? It's an investment. If I buy every single one of these agents a computer, it costs me $3,000. If they do one extra deal a year, I have more than quintupled my money and my return. And that computer is going to last for years.
Right.
So that's his approach. And that's how he looked at it. And that's kind of the approach that we ended up starting to take. Like, how can we make the agents help them become more efficient and do more business? And then we all win. Yeah. And, part of that's fostering the team mentality, the company culture, but also giving them the tools that they need to be able to do as efficient a job as possible and therefore increase their business. Win-win for everybody. And, so, Alan literally bought a computer for every single 600 agents.
Wow. That's a big chunk of cash. It's a big chunk of cash.
Exactly.
He had a vision, but being that he was our mentor, we also had a vision for Commercial Brokers International. And honestly, Rafael, we kind of got laughed at in the beginning because we hired a guy out of USC. Well, he came in and we hired him to set up our marketing because, and this is 8 years ago, probably.
At least.
Yeah, 8 or 10 years ago, when we were starting to do marketing on social. And so people are like, why are you putting this content out? And they didn't understand that residential agents were doing it, but we just believe that this is a path of where commercial real estate is going to evolve. And, he set up our website. Now, this kid had a degree in
a master's degree in the applied psychology of marketing.
Yeah, I'll never remember that. So
yeah, he always looks at me.
I'm like, what the hell is that? But, he put it on our website, he showed us, the way he broke it down from the colors that we use to the way everything is done on our website. It's amazing the way this young guy structured it. And we've been maintaining it ever since. There's a lot of changes that we've had to do, but, now we're starting to see, a large part, I guess if there's anything good came out of this pandemic, right? It's everybody started utilizing the marketing tools that they're out there. Everybody got on the internet. Everybody got creative with content. And so it's really great to see other people have joined in or now are doing it as well, because it was kind of touch and go there for a while.
Yeah. It's, I mean, well, you had a lot of things happen over the span of between 2005 and now, right? One being you launched. So when you launched, you guys, this was 2005. Did I catch that right?
January 2006.
2006. Okay. So you launched, I mean, you mentioned something that I think it's critical now in the space that we're in, as entrepreneurs and business owners. And that's a people-centric mentality. You can look at somebody as a profit center, right? And then add people to it and whatnot. But I mean, it really is. It's almost like the old outdated model of doing business. I think now people have, have a sense of awareness and like a bigger desire to belong to something than just make that, that money every every deal or every couple of weeks, however you pay them. So it's we're evolving as a society, I think, and there are needs that are bubbling up to the top, and being part of something bigger than our regular day-to-day stuff is one of them. I mean, that's something that it's a commonality that I keep coming across with successful businesses, and businesses who actually come in and then thrive. It's because they're mainly people-centric. So people-centric. They focus on the human capital first, and then whatever they do as a business, it's almost like a byproduct of taking care of that team. And then of course you go on and then add advanced strategies like marketing and really tapping into this forward thinking mentality that you guys have had since the beginning, like for example on the websites and the social media and the content, and something like the COVID hits where it just shifts everything and flips everything on its head. I mean, you're prepped for it. You're primed to take
Rafael, the commercial brokerage it's kind of it was always the good old boys network, right?
Yeah.
And if there's anything good that's come out of the pandemic, that has changed. Now you're seeing, we went to this summit a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago.
October. Yeah.
It was October. And so it seemed
a few weeks. It was a few weeks ago.
Yeah. But we came in there, and it was a commercial real estate influencer conference, where Eddie Gonzalez was there.
Yeah.
Met some incredible people.
Shout out to Eddie.
You bet. Yep. Shout out Eddie. But it was amazing, the diversity, the number of women that were there, the amount of content that was being created. I mean, I was running around the camera trying to get as many people to interview as I could, because there were such amazing people there. All of them are commercial real estate agents from around the country. And, it was just great to see. But one thing that has always been a problem with commercial real estate is, being that it's a good old boys network, 92% of the people within 24 months move out of the industry because they're burned out. They get brought in, and this is mostly in the bigger companies, right?
Yeah.
They get brought in. Listen, you cold call, you're a lead generator, you're going to train. This is all you do. When you get a lead, you work with your senior on it. And by the way, you got to give your senior 50%. You're already giving the company whatever percentage they're on. They make nothing for doing it. So why wouldn't somebody burn out? That needs to be changed. What we try and do is we bring somebody in, they're on their split. We'll show them how to do all the marketing, how to do all the cold calling, but to their personality. The way you market yourself, the way I market is going to be completely different, because you come off completely different than I do on camera, or the way you write is completely different, and just show them how to bring value in their marketplace, and that's what really works.
Yeah, and I think to that point, when we start talking about the entrepreneurship and what we're doing and how we're trying to do things, it's kind of looking at the approach that with the brokerage companies. What do we think how can we look or do better than some of the larger companies? What are the faults? What are the issues there that they may be experiencing? And then how can we then compete against them? And, marketing's been something that has allowed us to initially bring in some clientele, but helped us maintain that and create them that, for a independent brokerage company that was 5 to 10 years old, depending on when the clients came on board, we were able to bring in some of the largest international companies in the world into Los Angeles in their marketplace, whether it was JC Deco opening their first, U.S. office, or Urco Lighting out of Germany doing the same thing. Lorna Jane from Australia coming out, F45 Fitness on the corporate side. the Boring Company, whom you mentioned before. And then, our newest one right now that we've been working with is a company called Skyports out of London. And we've been working with them, for the last 2.5, 3 years, trying to build infrastructure for unmanned aerial air taxi drones for Los Angeles as their first marketplace.
Wow.
And, so which exciting time. So it's great seeing that.
Yeah, you're going to see it by 2025. You're going to see drones flying around LA carrying humans. So you'll land at LAX. You want to go downtown, you can get in a drone. It'll take you downtown LA. You want to get in a drone and from downtown and go to a shopping mall.
Certain ones, yeah.
Just so you guys know. Just so you guys know.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get in a drone and do that. And that's coming.
Just so you guys know, I'm gonna name drop. I'm gonna say that I knew these guys that helped put this whole thing together from
it's been a while. The it was supposed to be out in 2023, but the pandemic slowed it down. But it's all done. FAA, you have certain paths you have to follow. That's all done. It's amazing.
Wow,
it will change LA.
Yeah. No, and so that's the beautiful part about the commercial brokerage and the marketing aspect of it. But we also started seeing that going back again, obstacles versus challenges. And, one of the issues that we had from there, number one is it's good to be first in the market. And we try a lot of new things. We don't necessarily keep them, but that's, I think, something that is key for any entrepreneur coming in, is to look at different things, try them out and see what's working. Joe probably doesn't like to say this or admit it, but he's the very first person to hashtag CRE, commercial real estate, on TikTok.
What?
Right, yeah.
Average age was 13 at the time. But
he was posting content, Rafael.
But
I was posting content.
But
I'm seeing a pattern here, though. The forward thinking pattern. I mean, since '93.
But here's that's exactly it, though. So the thought process, same with Instagram. When we started off on Instagram, I had to ask my daughter how the heck, to use it and do what and everything else kind of thing. And, part of it was, it may not have been our age group that was on there at the time looking, but historically speaking, what we've noticed with any kind of social media and platforms is that the kids are the early adopters, and then the parents look to see what the kids are doing. And they kind of oversee them, and then they jump on it and they realize, hey, this is kind of fun or good or good business opportunity. So then they jump on it. So being an early adopter in that, it doesn't cost us much to hashtag CRE and put some content out on TikTok, even though the only people who are going to see it are teenagers. But 6 months from then, they're 28. The average age is 28 years old.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting to people that are actually going to see it. Now they can actually go through all the posts and see what we've actually posted. And it's not like all of a sudden we're a new company. We've been there from day one.
Yeah.
So, that has allowed us to do a lot of that. But we've also been trying to identify, what are the other obstacles? So, one thing that when we were talking about some of these large companies that we brought on board, they were great in Southern California and working with them to expand within the Los Angeles marketplace, identifying what target markets they need to go into. But when they wanted to expand outside of Southern California, that's where we had an issue. It's like, a lot of the stuff, especially on retail, you need boots on the ground. You need to know the marketplace. One block can make a difference in retail. And, because of that, we weren't able to service our clients like we want to service them. So we ended up, what can we do about that? So we ended up, creating an affiliate network, which is relatively new. We have affiliates now, 15 affiliates throughout the United States. These are all independent brokerage companies, some of the top brokerage companies in their state or community or metro, depending. And, they range in size from, a five-man shop to 150, agents. So, and what this allows us to do is then bring in clients and work on a full national rollout plan and scale. And, by coordinating and working with these other affiliates. So it allows us that opportunity to be able to not give up control of our client, but actually coordinate and work with them and help them on the expansion plans. So, for instance, there's a company that we're working with right now that is a very large international company that has had an online presence, they now want to open up brick and mortar store locations throughout the United States. They have 6 submarkets that they're interested in, and they wanted all this data. Historically, impossible for us to do. By reaching out to our affiliate network, we were able to put together all that data within 7 to 10 days, roughly, and put it in front of them faster than most national companies or international companies could do. But, because typically independent brokerages, they're a little bit hungrier, right? We're a little bit more entrepreneurial.
Yep.
So we're able, and we have less, what's the right word? Politics or red tape to get through.
Yeah.
It just allows us to service our clients a lot better. And it also gives our agents, if they're out talking to somebody and somebody's going to be relocating, we started off putting these in the main metros first, and now we're kind of filling it out as we go. We'll end up with a few hundred of these affiliates, but it allows our agents to also receive more revenue, so they can get a referral fee.
Right.
So that's how it really started, was us not wanting to lose control, but also a profit center for our agents.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. It's not something that I've heard be done as far as, referrals. Yeah. Why? Because we can't work in certain areas, right? We're licensed in a state. We have somebody else for another state. It's not like we're just going to go out there and get a license for that particular state. It doesn't work that way. So you find somebody, you send a referral, and then that's it. But creating an actual affiliate network where you're, working on projects and partnering up and teaming up. We here in our area, we call it leveling up, right? You level up to with somebody else, and then you both ascend. It's creating those strong relationships. It makes perfect sense. And again, it's totally different from that scarcity mindset. That's usually dealt with when you have a corporate, like a good structure, solid corporate structure. You have that scarcity mind, we got to take all the business, otherwise it's not gonna work.
There's so much business out there, as you know, Rafael, that there's plenty for everybody. You have to build your team around you that you can trust. That when I get a referral and it's in Florida, Texas, New York, I know that I can give it to those guys and they're going to be handled. So that client's going to come back to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just on the brokerage side. When we talk about our team, we're talking about the full team aspect and what we're looking at. For instance, we're in talks right now with a national lender, independent, but they also own a bank. They're a mortgage banker and banker, mortgage broker and banker, but they do commercial loans, and they have the ability to do it in all 50 states. So we found that if you have lenders that you can trust and really put together, so we're now in talks with them to create an actual ABA, affiliated business arrangement, or a partnership, where a new company will be created. We'll be a part owner, they'll be a part owner, and then we're going to be able to feed them loans from our clients and deals. But more importantly, for instance, I had a sale earlier this year that I was representing the landlord on, and there were some issues with the property. It was actually tagged by the city as substandard for various retrofit issues that had to be done, and because of that, the buyer couldn't get any financing. And in addition to that, the buyer also wanted to remodel some of the units, and they were going to build, this was a multifamily unit, they're going to build an ADU, or assisted dwelling unit, an additional unit on it. Or he was going to pay all cash for that. And he's a financial advisor, by the way, by trade.
Yeah.
But he couldn't get financing for it. I put him in contact with my lender and said, you know what? We're going to help you do a bridge loan converting to permanent financing. We're going to finance your retrofit, your retrofitting, your ADU unit, your rehab on the vacant units, and we're going to do it at a strong 70% LTC, loan to cost, not loan to value. So we're able to actually structure that out with our lender. And it's funny because I've known I knew his broker that was representing the buyer, and I've known him for some time. He does a lot of multifamily in Los Angeles, and it was interesting. He had never even experienced that or heard of this type of lending. So we were able to put that all together, and when they ran the numbers, they're like, "Oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. Let's do it."
I don't have to put everything out of pocket.
Pardon?
I don't have to put everything out of pocket.
Not everything out of pocket, just a little, just 30%.
30%.
Buying a property.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the kind of add value that we're always trying to do, to create when we're looking at it's for us. part of the company, and I think, there's always been the old saying that, the survival of the fittest, which, I think is misquoted. It's survival of the most adaptable, and you have to adapt to the changing times. And you see a lot of companies that don't adapt, and that's the problem. So we're always looking at, well, what can we do to add additional value for our clients? And our clients can be either on the transactional side with our our on the sales and stuff, or we look at our agents as our clients as well. What can we do to add value to help them stay on top of the curve, create that value? And then and we take the same approach with our investing as well.
I mean, you guys are very forward thinking, and I keep saying that, right? But I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing it's from where you started, and then tapped into the foreclosure stuff, and you were seeing that, okay, this thing has an expiration date on it, and it happened around 2005 or 6 when you put the company together. But because you were forward thinking on this, you were able to kind of lay out the foundations, and you started doing investments and kind of prep for it, right? You're doing the same thing in the development of the business that you have. You were talking about guerrilla marketing right before we kicked it off. And you guys are very I mean, I think it's one of your guys' superpowers, from what I'm catching here, just having the ability to adapt to the marketing needs of the people and of the clients, as well as the what society calls for at that moment. Guerrilla marketing is one whole different beast, right? And then you have social media, which is another one. And then breaking into those niches and knowing how to use them and pull levers to really have results, it's something that's very impactful in your business. Tell me about guerrilla marketing, how you use that in your results.
Yep. Well, combination of things. We look for, what can we do that's going to make us stand out, essentially going after what, everyone's out there. Like, for instance, some of the multifamily assets that we had, we look at them, we look at everybody. We had a 72 unit property in Dallas that, when we started looking at it, every apartment community out there, they advertise in the Green Book, I think it was called, as well as the apartments.com or apartment magazine. But what wasn't happening was the outreach. And, so we started looking at, this is workforce housing where we're at, and we're right next to a school. So we started talking to the managers. Start going into, go into the schools, offer something additional for a teacher to come in, give them some incentives, go in and talk to the neighboring communities and the businesses. Wouldn't they love it if their workers actually could walk to work a block away versus drive? Because, that's an added benefit. There's no cost for gas, less wear and tear on their vehicles, easy to get home, more quality of life issues, more money to spend, things like that. So we actually laid that out, put it in front of them, and start talking to the managers so they would actually promote our apartment.
Yeah.
So we're surrounded by 50 other apartment buildings, but we're going out there and saying, here's what we're willing to do. You want to work with us?
Yeah.
And no one else was doing that. So we started going out, looking at that. One of the early investment strategies that we're using was also, we were looking at what can we do to stabilize the community. So it was not just, because when we started investing, we could only afford low, moderate income neighborhoods. Some like to call it the hood, some like to call it, the ghetto or whatever, but, low, moderate income.
Value add areas. Yeah.
Rough neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Rough neighborhoods. I wouldn't call them bad, just rough. But we learned how, you have to stand out, offer, like what's going to make you stand out. If you go in with the approach of your typical landlord, and most of them do, and you see this happen all the time when a large investment company comes in, everyone thinks that all they are is a community that's coming out to take. Yes, I'm getting an apartment rental, but they're just taking from me. They're just taking from me. They're taking from me. That's the mentality of a lot of the tenants.
Yeah.
And so we actually ended up starting doing more community involvement. We held job fairs for one of the communities that we were in. We were part of it, worked very closely with the SLOs, senior lead officers in the community. We were the first ones to install, this was a heavy gang area in one of our buildings, and one of the areas that we invested heavily in. Heavy gang area, heavy drug trafficking, considered one of the worst neighborhoods in Los Angeles. We're the first ones to install, security cameras, give access to on the web to the police officers, and we would literally shoot them down the street. But what happened was, in this neighborhood that had an attrition, the elementary school had a 60% attrition rate. So every student that started would not finish. 60% of the students that started the year wouldn't finish that year. And in elementary school, it's not dropouts. That means they're moving.
Yeah, they leave.
So this community had a very high turnover, and therefore a lot of extra expenses. So there was a lot of make-ready costs. There's a lot of stuff going on. We ended up by instituting a lot of these programs in there and offering additional value to the tenants. It now, instead of became a transitionary housing area, it actually became a community. People started talking to each other. I mean, we went out there one time. I remember Joe was talking to them and saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing for Halloween?" I mean, we're coming out not thinking. They looked at him like, "You doofus. We don't go knocking on anybody's doors in this neighborhood." It's like, but so what we did was, we coordinated with the neighbors and the building. We actually bought candy for them, anyone who wanted to be involved. We gave them special ribbons so the kids would know, and then we coordinated making costumes so that everyone wouldn't feel left out if they couldn't afford to buy a costume.
Wow.
And so, but that was building community.
So out of the box thinking, man.
We haven't owned those properties now for 7 years.
No, more like almost 10.
10 years. And there's some of those residents still live there.
Still live there.
And
wow.
But you can go out there and it's still,
and we still talk to them.
Talk about an impact in the community, right? Talk about thinking outside the box. If that's going way beyond just putting up a listing on the MLS and then
Oh, we do. I mean, we do a lot. We're so big on marketing. And one thing we do every year, Rafael, obviously we did it last year, but we do an event, either art, fashion, something that's fun. And then we just hold an event one night where we invite all of our clients, and our agents can invite all their clients and their potential clients. And we have drinks for everybody. And, like we did a couple of years ago where we had an art show. I think it was in 4,000, 5,000 square feet. And it was just full of art. And it was just a great evening. We had like 400 people attend. And, we give, obviously, to make sure, we give 2 drink tickets, and that's it. People still manage to get a little bit tipsy. I don't know how, but they did. But that works.
All theirs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you go out before you showed up. But those events in your community for a brokerage company are important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Speaking of which, if I may just throw out a little, I mean, we're very big on social activism as well, as far as, try and give back to the community that you're making the money in, right? And then every, as the old saying goes, all boats rise in a rising tide.
Yep.
So if I can lift up that community, I'm going to also benefit.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and this is, if they go to our website, cbicommercial.com, I believe you can go in, and we're actually doing a
CBI as B as in boy,
Charlie Bravo India commercial.com. So, we're doing a fundraiser right now for a community called Nickerson Gardens, also known as the Projects in Watts. There is a nonprofit that we have partnered with that has vetted out 73 families that, the Christmas and the holidays tend to be a hard time for, it's a choice between, do I give gifts or do I feed the family?
Ooh.
And, so it's a tough time, right?
Yep.
And so we've committed to try and raise $100 per family that will go straight to a gift card that goes to this nonprofit. They will then buy, they vetted all these families out to make sure that they are families in need. Mm-hmm. And they'll go out and take them out to they're all Smart and Final gift cards. So they're going to take them out to Smart and Final, buy gift cards for them. And they will take them shopping to use that to buy food for the holiday. This way it allows, I mean, surprisingly, $100 actually can change someone's holiday. It doesn't sound like much to some people, but it can be the meaning of, a fun time or, or a joyous time rather versus not. So if anyone sees this before then, please jump on.
When,
and if you
when is the
can,
deadline for that?
December 4th. Like I said, I don't know if you're going to have this edited.
Sorry.
No. We'll push it. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll expedite. We'll expedite.
Is the cutoff date.
Yeah.
Might be able to buy a day or two more, but yes, anything, if it's $5, $10, anything is appreciated.
Yeah. You know what? This is the second time that this topic jumps up today. I was having a conversation with my team today, and we were breaking down gratitude, and we talked about I have VAs. They're in the Philippines. They jump in, they get zoomed in for our team meetings, and one of them was saying, because I asked, what are you grateful for? And she goes, I'm grateful that today is payday. And she's like, yeah. And I mean, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, it's payday. Like it's a good day, right? But then she elaborates and she goes, and I'm grateful it's payday because I can make my donation. I can, pay it forward. I can give my contribution. And she goes, every time I get paid, I'll give a portion of that money to this foundation that I volunteer in. I believe, and it's an empowerment foundation, right, for women. And she does that, right? Even with limited resources, just doing that, it's going to make an impact on that side, from people receiving it, and also on this side from the people giving it. And I mean, it's a contribution doesn't have to be big to be a contribution.
No, it doesn't.
I had one of the best memories that I have about somebody giving me something or contributing to me. It's this guy that gave me a burrito in an airplane when I was starving. I mean, I'm telling you, that burrito just made every time I think about that, like it puts a smile on my face, and it's been a long time since that happened. Like that was contribution at its finest, right? So absolutely, we'll drop the link and we'll
appreciate it. Well, and also what I wanted to say, a lot of this goes back to the entrepreneurship thing is that, it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, there's an old saying, there's two ways to become rich. You either make more money or you want less.
Yeah.
Either way, you're rich. And there's, I just read an article about the Uruguay president, Jose Mujica.
Uh-huh.
He has a salary of $12,500.
Yeah.
He gives away 90% of that and only keeps $1,250. He's actually considered the poorest president in the world.
Yeah.
And his philosophy and thought process is, when they called him that, he goes, I'm not poor. A poor person is somebody who works hard to get something that they want more of.
Yeah.
I have everything I need, so I'm not poor.
Mm.
And it's all about perspective, and when that comes to entrepreneurship as well, it's what are you going to make of this? How are you going to do this? What are you going to do to accomplish? And a lot of that is just it's that. And by the way, that's my Thanksgiving post. So
no, see it.
I love it. Yeah, we'll definitely make a point out of pushing this as soon as possible, so people can contribute, and I'll make a contribution to it. I'll commit to that. So that's awesome. It's beautiful, man. Thank you for putting that out there. Anytime we have the opportunity to rise the boats along with us, and we're in a space where we can do it. I think it's almost a responsibility, right? So absolutely, I love it. Man, you guys, I mean, it's impressive to see what you guys have been able to do since you got this team partnership going on and funded in launched in 1983. That forward thinking mentality, I mean, I see it as a pattern, and mixed in with the superpowers of tapping into different marketing strategies and really thinking outside the box. I mean, you're shining a lot of light on something that we often just overlook, right? Because we're busy. We don't think about the creative side of things. Putting events for the people around the places where we're trying to make money from. I mean, that just makes perfect sense when you say it like that. But it's not something that usually pops up in a conference meeting. You know what I mean?
Rafael, a lot of it just comes from me. It's come from listening. This is what other people are trying to do. They just don't, they're all together. So we just kind of, I learned from one of our newest agents today about some marketing he's doing. I'm like, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Goes, oh yeah, I've been doing it. And he's going on Neighborhood Watch.
Next door.
Yeah.
He's doing some marketing on there. And I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. He's multifamily guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's brilliant. But, for us, it's about having our team around us. And we've been very fortunate with the agents that we have are just good agents, but they're also, we don't hire them for their experience. We do a lot of training. But, some of them have been with us a long time, but we hire for the personality. We're really focused on company culture.
Yeah.
I need to, I'm in the office every day, so I need to be around a positive work environment. And, we're very fortunate to hire the people we've hired.
I used to explain it that I had a teenage daughter at home and I didn't need any more drama in the office. So that's the good people we like to be around.
That's the short term.
Drama low at the office.
Yeah.
And all kidding aside, there was no drama with her, but I used to say that. Great kid. But it also goes into one thing I do want to say that I think is a very important lesson when it comes to anyone looking at going into starting a new business, whether it's real estate related or not, is that we're talking about the successes and the wins. We've had just as many, if not more, failures. The bottom line is that if you're not a failure shouldn't be looked at as a negative. A failure means that you're actually trying something and doing it, and that you're learning from it, what you need to take back from it. One of the classes and trainings I do with a lot of the young agents, the toughest part about commercial real estate is the cold calling, because 90+% of the time you're going to get a no, and some of them are pretty rude about it. But what I tell our agents is that, you're looking at it from the wrong way. Look at it as, even a no is something I learned. Maybe I don't need to call this person again. Maybe I can, so this is saving you time in the future. You can learn from the no's as well. So, it's what you make of it. We've done a lot of things that weren't successful either, but the
marketing department, I come walking in there, they're like, no, that's not going to work. And then we try it, and it falls flat, and I go and apologize, going, okay, you were right this time. But so we've had those.
Yeah. I think that's part of the beauty of the process, right? I mean, we have the ability to, it's our own ball of wax. Every entrepreneur who puts their business together, you start to play with your own ball of wax. You can shape it however you want. And that's the cool thing about playing with, with different marketing strategies, playing with different hiring processes, and thinking totally outside the box when it comes to hiring, when it comes to, forward thinking and exit strategies and all that. It's just, we have the ability to shape our own ball of wax, when we're building out. I mean, it gets a little tighter once the machine grows, and then you have more people in it. There's more consideration and whatnot. But at the beginning, you do have that ability. And that's something super, super, super cool that I think is one of my favorite things about entrepreneurship. So,
it was just a few years ago. It used to be cool to be an entrepreneur, right? Everybody wanted to say they would be on business cards. And I'm like, are you really? So tell me why you think you're an entrepreneur. And, you got to be careful about it. Obviously, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you'd sit there thinking, oh, man, this is a battle you're not prepared for. And so, I think it's gotten a little more realistic, and people are saying to be an entrepreneur, you better be ready. You better have the right mindset. You better have the work ethic that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's not, if you come into it, I'm just in this to make money, it's going to be hard. You have to be in it to build something now.
Right.
Think about down the road, the future.
And it, I think it anchors you to that forward thinking mentality. If you are in it to build something, you create something bigger than ourselves. And I mean, I see it as a vehicle. This is how I approach any business that I'm building up. It's a vehicle for somebody else. It's a vehicle for my team. It's a vehicle for my clients. And I gotta have to create the best vehicle that I can so they can get to wherever they want to get at an individual level. And you're talking, personal priorities, personal desires, tap into what they want to create. And then just have me be the vehicle. My success is a byproduct of the environment, the culture that I'm creating within. Right. I mean, I think that works. Stuff like that works. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have that, that almost, again, that sense of responsibility to create stuff like that and operate, under integrity and really push people to the places where they want to get to through our vehicles. So yeah, no, I love it. Guys, thank you so much for the golden nuggets and the conversation.
Thank you for listening to us,
Rafael. Enlightening. It truly is enlightening. I mean, just to see the trajectory from 93 and then the forward thinking process, I'm pretty impressed about the ways that you guys have been able to just pivot along the way and get to the next level and the next level and the next level. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, I don't know, reach out to you guys, maybe find out about your guys' brokerage, sign up. I mean, where's the best place to get a hold of you guys?
Go, George.
Well, always, for learning a little bit more about us, if you want, there's the CBI commercial website, cbi.commercial.com that I mentioned, but also, my personal contact, I easily reached, best way is email gpino@cbicommercial.com. Joe is
cbicommercial.com.
Yep. Joe is J Killinger, JKILLINGER @cbicommercial.com.
Beautiful.
So,
if you want phone, you can do my direct line is 310-943-8542 and George's 310-943-8536.
Yep.
We just went gangster on this podcast.
I know we're kind of all over the place.
A little bit all over, but
we are the real. You have my social security number is as follows.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love it. Thank you, guys. I mean,
if you have a really good deal that you want to put in front of us on an investment, it's GPINO at no.
Oh no, put it out there. Trust me. You'll
I'm kidding. I just joke. Yeah. But no, easiest way to reach us just through the emails or the phone call. We're happy to talk, even if they have any additional questions or follow-up questions. Joe actually mentors quite a bit of people. We actually created Joe is the one who instigated this, but we saw that women in real estate were actually a very underrepresented community, especially in commercial real estate. They only make up a small percentage of all the agents in commercial real estate. However, they all tend to be the top producing agents. They do very well.
Wow.
And so, and a lot of that is attributed to the old boys network and everything else going on there. But, we created Joe created a foundation, Wire Foundation, Women in Real Estate. So it's actually mentoring. It's putting other women that are established in real estate in connection with young women that want to get into real estate. What was their story? How do they get involved? And they mentor people throughout the U.S. We try and connect them and try and get them involved. So, always open to questions, always open to communicating, because we want to see this industry grow and get better, because I think there's still room for that to happen. And we'd like to be a part of it.
100%. I love it. Is that the same contact info for that program? You
can still contact George and I.
Right, and we'll have all that on the show notes too, phone numbers and emails and the website. Can you repeat that website?
Mentor, MENTOR, wire.org, mentorwire.org.
Yeah, that's for the nonprofit. That's for the mentoring nonprofit for women in real estate. And then ours is CBI Charlie Bravo India Commercial COMMERCIAL.com.
Okay, got it. And what was that website too for the contribution?
I don't have that. Well, I'll have to send you that link.
I think it's just right on the link on CBI as well.
Yeah, it's on CBI.
It's on the CBI commercial website link.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll take all those and then we'll put them up on the show notes.
Appreciate
for everybody out there listening. Yeah, I mean, you guys have been a blast. This is my favorite question, and I can't wait to hear what you guys answer. But if you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old selves, what would you tell those kids?
Oh my God. Believe, I think, is for me is believe in what you're doing. Because there's always that insecurity, and I always question, am I doing the right thing? I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes it costs me because I don't think that's going to work. And then somebody else goes and does it and I see it. So I think just believe in your journey and where you're going with it.
Yeah. I think like a true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's focus and, stay on the path that what you're trying to do without, meaning don't overexpand, or one of the biggest reasons companies fail is that they expand too quickly or they take on too much. And instead focus on what your target is, what you're going at, and then grow from there once you've established yourself. Don't try and do everything all at once, especially as a startup or a new company where you don't have a lot of funding. I think that's probably the biggest lesson learned overall. We've had those issues as well. But at the same time, that and my 17-year-old self, I wish someone had actually told me, you know what, a little bit along the lines of what Joe said, trust in your gut, buy more real estate and hold.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times,
in the right area.
Yeah, in the right areas. But, when I was younger, I had different priorities, whether it was going out, whether it was, buying the fancy suits and the cars and whatever, and then I met a good client of mine that said, why are you buying a new car? He's driving this Aston Martin around. He goes, it's 3 years old. Everyone thinks it's new and I paid half the price.
Yeah.
It's like, and thinking about it, it's like, you know what, let's build something.
There might be something behind that. Yeah. I mean, I think your young 17-year-old self priorities sound a lot like my 17-year-old self priorities.
Yeah, all of it.
Or no priorities.
All of us, but I had very conservative parents that didn't like to invest, and they felt literally cash in the mattress, and purses and other things. But that was their mentality. But they grew up there in the Depression and post World War II Japan, so that was their thought process. So let's hold on to it can be taken away from you, so let's hold on. Yeah. So definitely that.
I love it, man. I love it. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me on the podcast and really breaking it down for us. It's refreshing to see something, especially something in such a old school and good old boy type of industry, and the stigma, of all that stuff that comes along with commercial real estate, and you guys breaking into it in a whole different way. I love it, man. I love it. I can't wait to see what you guys do. And I'm definitely going to tell everybody that I knew some of the people that's, that put together those cool air taxis in LA.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again. You guys have an awesome.
Thank you.
Take care.
There you guys have it. This was CEO Pulse Podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. It's a wrap. Stay focused. You got this.